Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Tanner's Favorite Things. I am Tanner Knight, and today we're going to open up a box. And I'm trying something a little different with regards to my camera situation. I've got the GoPro instead of my trusty Canon R6, so we may see that later on, but I think I've got it pointed correctly. My preview is off on my phone, so who's to say? But let's go ahead and open up this box and see what's inside. So I guess it's been a little while since I've done an unboxing, and kind of some of that is due to the fact that I don't really need anything else. And I know that, you know, having a YouTube channel means that you always need something, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that I don't even need this item, but I saw it and it was an item that I thought that I would like. So I pulled the trigger. We have a Boss Super Overdrive SD-1. So this is a yellow pedal from Boss. Just like the rest of my Boss pedals over there, you can see the Metal Zone, Super Chorus, and Turbo Distortion. I just love the Boss pedals. I grew up in the, late 80s, early 90s, and this was the form factor of awesome sound. And I wasn't necessarily a guitar player back in those days, but my brother was and all of his friends were. And they always had a really cool Boss pedal. And it was coveted back then. And, today they are vintage at this point. And this one I think is from the 90s, maybe the early 2000s, but you can see our battery cover there. This is just a standard 9-volt battery. This is the beauty of the Boss pedal. This form factor is so versatile that you can put any chip in here and put a different color on the outside of it, and you have a very unified product line that's instantly recognizable with the font and the input and the output and 3 dials, 4 dials. There's not too much variation there. So let's go ahead and plug this thing in and see what it sounds like. Alrighty, we've got everything plugged in, and let me give you a quick rundown about what we are playing first before we dig into this pedal. So I've got a PV ST, I believe it's a 2001 or something, I can't remember exactly, but this is a PV ST Limited or LTD, and it's a bolt-on 5-bolt neck type situation with a humbucker in the bridge and 2 single coils. So we'll switch between the two here and see what this pedal sounds like with both humbucker and single coil. That's kind of why I gravitate towards this guitar. It really gives me a great platform to test out a lot of different sounds in one guitar without having to pick up the Flying V or a Telecaster. I got kind of the best of both worlds. This is a Flying V and Stratocaster, we'll say, close enough. So with this guitar, we're being plugged into the Marshall 1987X Plexi head, which is a 50-watt head. And I just got this new cabinet switcher here, so I've switched on cabinets 1 and cabinet 3, which is, I don't think you can see all of it, but we have an orange 2x12 with V30s in the bottom right-hand corner. And then I'm into the PV 4x12. This is a 5150 cabinet with PV, I don't know, Sheffields or something like that. I actually have never busted into the back of that speaker cabinet to see what those drivers are, but I'm kind of flanked on either side by sound. I've got a couple microphones in the room, 3 actually. The microphone on the orange cabinet is an SM57. The microphone on the PV cabinet is a Sennheiser E906, and I have a room condenser mic. It's actually not ideally positioned, but it's off to the right, so you'll probably be hearing more of the PV with the, I can't even remember what that condenser mic is, but I did a video on it recently. It's the most recent one that I have, the vocal mic. So without this pedal, this is what we've got. So a very familiar clean sound, and before we kick it into the single coil, let's just compare sounds clean versus the Super Overdrive SD-1 engaged. So again, clean. And by the way, I cranked all of these levels. I'm gonna actually do the opposite. for your reference, I've only strummed this thing twice, so now just to make sure that it works. And it was all the way cranked and it was loud as hell. So let's go ahead and start from 0, 0, 0. Here's clear. So when it's all zeroed out, it actually cuts the sound. So it's actually a preamp that is affecting the overall output of this guitar. So let's go ahead and add some level. And then the middle is tone. Sounds like kind of the opposite of a guitar where, well, maybe it's not. I guess this is closed and this is open, so it's just reverse, but closed. That's really bright. So I'm going to leave that somewhere in the middle just for fun's sake. And now the fun part, the drive. Let's go ahead. So that's a really respectable sound. That's very similar to the Ibanez Tube Screamer, a little livelier than that. Let's, just for fun's sake, compare the Tube Screamer back to back since we have it 1, 2 right here in line. So here is the SD-1. Here's the Tube Screamer. That's pretty dang close, but the settings are a little bit different. On the Tube Screamer, I've got the level cranked, I've got the tone about 75%, and the level, sorry, I have the drive cranked, the level at 30% or so, and the tone cranked. So let's go ahead and up this drive and see if we can make this thing chug a little bit more. Back on clean, SD-1. So, really respectable again, and just for kicks, let's compare it to that Ibanez Tube Screamer again, because I think you'll find that this is a little above and beyond when we drive it a little bit more. So it's got a little more in the tank, in other words. So it's a little growlier, a little bitier. And I like the sound a lot. I think the best and most important thing here is that it's a really nice overdriven sound that contributes to this tube amp in a really nice way. And you're hearing it through two different cabinets, so they're kind of mixed together. But I think that with just one of these cabinets, it would sound equally as good. So that's really good news. And let's go ahead and bump that level up. I'm not exactly sure if this is a good idea, but let's see if the level just makes it super loud or if it actually enriches the tone in any way. Very good. I really like that sound. That might even be my new favorite distortion pedal. We'll see. I know if you watch this channel that you should be familiar with the Metal Zone. That's my well, current favorite or old favorite, but I think that it might rival, or the SD-1 might rival the MT2 Metal Zone pedal. So let's go ahead and do a little head-to-head comparison with those two pedals. So once again, here's the SD-1. Metal Zone. I think that got tweaked with when I was resetting up this pedal board. So 1 second here. So that's pretty close to where I usually keep my Metal Zone settings. I think I need to tinker with it just a hair more, but that's what I love about the Metal Zone. It's throaty, it's in your face, it grabs you by the balls, and it doesn't make any apologies for what it is. And I think the SD-1 will compare very favorably, but let's go ahead and hear what they sound like a little closer together. So very heavy. You want to play Metallica or something really Slayer, even something that really just goes for the jugular. And I like that about this pedal. It's very different than the Metal Zone. It's much more in line with a tube screamer that's got a little more juice in the tank, as I mentioned. But we do have one more Boss pedal on the board, the Turbo Distortion DS2. So let's just go ahead and do a head-to-head comparison and see if we can get these levels similar here. So I just want to bump up this level a bit. This one's a pretty rowdy pedal as well. So let's hear the Turbo Distortion DS2 first. So that's pretty close to where I keep that pedal. The DS2 is, you know, one of your stalwart 90s pedals, but let's compare it against the SD-1, confusing with all these S's and D's. Man, that's a rowdy pedal. I love it. So Super Overdrive SD-1, forget it. So another Boss pedal to add to the pedal board. I'll go ahead and give you my blanket apology for my pedal board. It's not the tidiest, but we're going for functionality here, and this tends to be the configuration that I like. So it does the job. The Boss pedal features very heavily on this pedal board for a number of reasons, but I think it comes down in the end to how they sound. And you can buy a ton of pedals and you can hear a lot of shitty pedals. And that's, you know, that's what it is. There are sounds that some people like and there are sounds that a lot of people dislike. Boss tends to have sounds that people universally enjoy, and I'm not trying to just jump on a bandwagon. I actually believe that they sound superior to a lot of other pedals. And you can see the only other one I have on there is an Ibanez, and it's that Tube Screamer, which is also a very well-reputed pedal for very good reasons. So hopefully you're going to hear more of this pedal in the future. Oh, before we do that, let me go ahead and bump us into our single coil. So we're in the bridge. Definitely a lot funkier with that single coil. It does still overdrive very nicely, and it doesn't overdrive it in the same way as the humbuckers. Let's just hear that back to back. We're in super overdrive still, so here is the single coil first. It's like the humbucker's all business and the single coil is all a good time and is just trying to get everybody to dance. So the Super Overdrive is very versatile. I know that was a very meager sound sample with a single guitar, but hopefully that gives you kind of a good overview of what this pedal sounds like. And if you want to add it to your board, I would say go ahead. It will be a very worthy investment. And that's another point to make with the Boss pedals. They just don't depreciate in value like other pieces of gear. So you can generally invest in one securely. And you know what? If you get tired of it or you just want to switch things up, you can do that and feel happy about it. So the Boss pedal is a great investment as well as just a great piece of gear. The SD-1 Super Overdrive, highly recommended. So hopefully you've gotten something out of this review. It's not a comprehensive review, obviously, but I find that this combination of guitar and amplifier is pretty representative of what a lot of people out there play, or similar with modeling or something like that. So take this as you will, and hopefully you will find a love for Boss products similar to what I have. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to submit them in the comments, or you can always send me an email, tannersfavorithings@gmail.com. And if you haven't subscribed, I highly recommend it. That always helps. That helps me understand what kind of content to bring to you and what you guys ultimately want to see out there. So go ahead and like and subscribe. And if you want to see more content like this, leave me a note. Thank you. Hope to see you on the next one.